Hi, Assalamualaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, how are you? I hope all of you are healthy and happy as well, inshallah. I am 𝘕𝑗 your new host for this season, and it's my pleasure to meet all of you tonight.
Hi, Sarah. I am really looking forward to working with you in this new season. So, viewers, it's still me, Ainina Azman, the same face that will be hosting Girls Out Loud. It's all about girls thingy.
Alright, since October is a breast cancer awareness month, so we are going to talk about the rise of a breast cancer survivor. So we would like to take this opportunity to welcome our honorable guest. So she was a breast cancer survivor that was diagnosed back in 2015. And now she has survived of breast cancer for 6 years already. So to know how she battled this disease, I would like to invite Miss Hiba Abdurrahman to introduce herself. Hi, Miss Hiba. Please tell
Hello.
us. Yeah, hi, Miss Hiba. It's good to meet you now. Miss Hiba, can you tell us more about yourself, age, occupation, and others? Please welcome Miss Hiba.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much, ladies. You beautiful, beautiful ladies for having me tonight. So as you know, my name is Hiba. I do have some friends who call me Baba. So if you ever look me up on Instagram and it says Baba the Awesome, it's because my friends call me Baba. Okay, so you can call me Hiba or Baba. It's not a problem.
Okay.
I am 31 years old this year, and I actually run my own baking business at home. So I make cakes, I make cookies, and I transitioned into F&B about maybe 3 years ago, just before, maybe a year before COVID hit. And then about 2 months ago, I quit my job at a bakery and I decided to start on my own. And yeah, that's basically about me.
That's great. It's a new challenge, and we are very honored to have you here as our guest. So, without further ado, let us start with the first question. So, generally, the public knows that breast cancer is a type of cancer that starts in the breast, but then they don't actually know what happened to the breast and how the cancer actually occurs in the breast. Then, Miss Hiba, can you tell us what is breast cancer actually?
Well, I'll tell you the gist of it because I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't be able to go into the medical terms. So it is basically the mutation of cells. So if anybody of you have seen the Avengers, if you know the Incredible Hulk, so if
Mm-hmm.
you see how he transforms from a man to the Incredible Hulk, that's basically what your cells are doing. So that is cancer, the mutation of cells inside your body.
I see.
Yeah.
So the cells itself like has gone out of control that
Yeah.
caused the cancer to happen. I
Yes.
see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
All right,
happens.
Miss. Okay, so all right, Miss Hiba, we know that you have been diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. So I have been stalking your Instagram and I saw one of the posting in 2017 where at that time you already recovered. So we really glad to know how long do you actually experience breast cancer?
um, okay. If you are talking about only hospitalization, like just the times that I had to be admitted to the hospital, then it's about 2 years. But what you need to understand is my treatment doesn't stop when my hospital visits stop. My treatment actually goes on in the form of tablets or in the form of injections. So the whole journey actually lasted about 5 years. So from 2015 until 2020, I was on breast cancer treatment. So it lasted about 5 years, if you want to look at it that way.
I see. So the recovery process is quite long. I mean, given
Mhm.
that you have still to attend to the hospital to do checkup again,
Mhm.
and then the the symptoms that we normally see or notice is lump, but then not all breast cancer patient actually notice the lump. And
Mhm.
in your case, I read through your case that you have discovered the lump actually 4 years before you were
Mhm.
being diagnosed.
Yeah.
But then at that time, the doctor misdiagnosed you, like
Mhm.
there's nothing happened to you.
Yeah.
And apart from that lump, are there any other early symptoms that you notice?
That's a really good question, actually. So, a lot of times when women feel lumps in their breasts, they do get afraid that, oh my God, this is cancer. But what you need to understand is just because there's a lump in your breast doesn't mean that you have cancer. So you could have a cyst in your breast, you could have a what we call a fibroadenoma, which is like a mass of maybe muscles or like blood inside the breast. Again, like these terminologies, I think a doctor would be better to explain it, but it's not always cancer when there's a lump. However, when it is cancerous, there are other signs that are actually available in the scans. So I did have, like, you're correct, Nina, actually, to pick that up. I did have a lump in my breast for 4 years, and I did go and see a radiologist, and it was always assumed as a lump because, number one, I was very young. So 4 years before the age of 25, I was 21. So at the age of 21, the doctors would probably look at you and think, you're so young, I don't think you have cancer. Tak apalah, it's just a cyst, you cannot have cancer. So it was always mistaken as a lump. And every year that I went, it was always diagnosed as the same thing. It is a cyst. It's nothing to worry about. You just come back the next year. And in 2015, what happened was I had blood coming out of my nipple.
I
So
see.
it wasn't a lot. It was very, very, very little discharge, but it was literally lepas mandi, I think I wiped, and then I didn't put any pressure or anything, but it just started bleeding. And what I did was I asked my cousin and my best friend, who are doctors, what I should do, and they said you need to go and get this checked again. So I went again, and I went to see a breast specialist this time. And when I saw the breast specialist, then she did an ultrasound, and she said, "Okay, you have a tumor in your breast." So, and at that time I was alone. So I was like, okay, okay, this is very interesting. I just thought I'm coming for a routine checkup. So I had a tumor in my breast. So the tumor was the lump, and it was sitting just underneath my nipple because it started in my milk ducts. So that's where the milk production for babies usually come.
I see.
And after that, she showed me on the scans that there was like white spots on the scans, which is called calcifications. So now there are other, if I'm not mistaken, there are other illnesses that have calcifications, but it looks different on scan. So mine was in a cluster. So she said, okay, this doesn't look very good. And then she scanned. So under my armpits, usually when you have breast cancer, the first place that it will spread to is under the armpits because that's the closest. That's the lymph nodes that are the closest. So your lymph nodes are just like these little small chains in your body that are there to filter out, like if you are not well, it filters out like, all the bad stuff from your body, and it helps you with like recovery and things like that. So my lymph nodes were already swollen. And my doctor was incredible. She actually said, she was very calm when she said the whole thing. And she explained to me each and every step. And she said, you have all of these things, but I still need to do a biopsy to confirm. Because there is, again, a possibility that it's not cancer, but have to do a biopsy. So what a biopsy is it's like a small, not a small, actually, it's like a gun where they need to take a sample inside the breast. So what the doctor will do is do anesthesia around the breast, and then she will take the samples. And again, like, my doctor was incredible. So I felt extremely safe with her doing all like this procedure and going through this with her. And then, that's when I found out I had cancer. The next week, the results came back, and she told me that I had
see.
cancer.
So it took a
Yeah.
week So it
Yeah,
took a week like to confirm everything. Like yeah, doctor of course will not give you like confirmation because of
exactly.
course she want to calms you down, right?
Yes.
So yeah, apart from the lump, the
Mm-mm.
bleeding that
Mm-mm-mm.
cause you go again to the breast examination, and
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah that I think you found it like still at the early stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I found it at stage 2. Like I was very lucky because my doctor said you had that in your breast for 4 years and it's only stage 2. You're very lucky. So I said, oh yeah, actually, if I really think about it, 4 years is quite a long time, and it could have gone to stage 3 or stage 4, but
Yeah.
it had only spread to my lymph nodes. They did see a small lesion in my lung, like very very small, like 0.4 mm, but it cannot be determined what it is. So it could be cancer, it could be because that time I demam. I'm really not sure. So um, I was considered a stage 2B breast cancer patient. Yeah.
Okay, and then I admire that you go through that breast checkup every year annually. Like, wow, even I mean, like, if I am 21 years old at that time, I don't think
Mhm.
like I want to go to breast examination. So I'm proud of that courage to go
Yes.
to meet doctor.
Well, I'm very particular about my body. So, and I'm very aware about my body. So I know what is normal for me and what's not normal. So every time there's something,
Mhm.
a little off, I will go to the doctor for a checkup. I think it helps as well because my mom always goes for checkups. My mom has diabetes. So, and
Um,
she's very strict with her diet. She's very strict with her checkups. So I think I
mm,
learned it from her as well that, the earlier you go for your checkups, the easier it is to manage yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
early detection saves life.
Exactly.
right.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Miss. So we jump to the next question that I would like to ask. There is a variety of treatments of a breast cancer exist, and treatment is available at every stage of cancer. So most people need a combination of two or even more treatments.
Mm-hmm.
So after diagnosis, the doctor will determine the stage of your cancer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that cancer has 4 stages. So
Mm-hmm.
Miss, could you please explain more what are the differences between those 4 stages?
Um, okay, so when it comes to staging, from my understanding of it, it really is just to determine how far the cancer has spread. So it is not the only determining factor for your treatments. So, for example, I'm stage 2 breast cancer patient, so means it has spread to my lymph nodes, and they will take into consideration the size of the tumor as well. So, stage 1 would be it's only contained in the breast and it's a specific size, and then stage 2 it's spread to the lymph nodes, it's a specific size. Stage 3 it's spread to another part of the body, usually the lungs. And then stage 4, it's spread to the major organs. So it's probably spread to, the bones, or it's spread to the liver, or the pancreas, So the staging determines, it's to help determine how far the cancer has spread and the size of the tumor. But again, it is not the only determining factor for your treatment plan. So for breast cancer patients, we actually have extra tests that we need to do. Number one, we need to do blood tests. We have a tumor marker test as well to check. So tumor markers are usually used to determine whether there's some abnormalities in your body. There's like different codings for different types of cancers. So if you ever go for a blood test and you see, I think breast cancer is CA125. So that is to determine whether there's some abnormal cells in your body. But again, if it comes out positive, it doesn't mean you have cancer. So I took the tumor marker test when I had cancer and it came out negative. So the doctors will always supplement with scans, and they will do an ultrasound, they'll do a mammogram, they will do CT scan, they will do so many more things to determine your treatment plan. We also had a hormone test that we had to take. So it's called 𝘬𝑃𝑟 HER2. I'm just gonna put this in the chat so that it's easy. I'll write it in the private chat, okay? So you can.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, 𝘬𝑃𝑟 HER2. So ER stands for estrogen, PR stands for progesterone. So these two are hormones. And HER2 is, so when when there's a cancer tumor, surrounding the cancer cells, there are proteins. So HER2 determines whether the protein cells are positive or negative. So these things also determine the treatment plan. There's like a whole, list of things that the doctor needs to do. So to help you understand better, I was considered estrogen positive, progesterone positive. In the beginning, I was HER2 negative. Midway through my treatment, I became HER2 positive. And the reason why that changes is because, again, cancer is your cells. It is a living thing. So it does mutate. So for some cases, the results can change. And the difference in treatment for me was a difference between 6 months and 2 years. So that's why my treatment, it lasted 2 years. It was supposed to only last 6 months because I was only supposed to be, treating the estrogen progesterone side of it. And then when the HER2 came out positive after my surgery, it got extended another 1 more year. So I went through 2 years of in and out of hospital just because of that. So that's how the doctor usually determines the treatment plan for the patient. So they will look at the staging. In the very beginning, they would just look at the staging, and then they will look at the grade. So I don't remember how many grades there are. Again, this one you would have to ask a medical practitioner. And then after that, they will do other tests. And different cancers have different tests. So I can only speak for breast cancer because that's the only one that I've gone through. So breast cancer also has an additional hormone test. And now there's actually technology to test whether your body will respond well to chemo or not. So doctors can actually send the sample, I think, to the US to check whether it will respond well to chemo or not. So if it doesn't respond well to chemo, then the doctor will find alternative treatments and you don't have to go through chemo. You have to go through something else. Yeah.
So it based of your cancer stages, whether you have to go for treatment or others, right?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, Miss Hiba, okay, going back to the breast examination, I mean, like the fourth time, I mean, the fifth year when you like going to breast examination again, when the year that you actually being diagnosed. At
Okay,
that time, I mean, like before you going to breast examination, I mean, like after you notice the bleeding, like what do you feel at that time? I mean, like you must hope that there's nothing happened, just like last year. So what actually you are thinking at that time? How do you feel
Oof,
going to the breast examination again?
So I honestly, I just thought, okay, maybe, there is some abnormality, but I didn't think it was going to be cancer. I really did not. So I went to see my doctor without any expectations. I just thought it was going to be a regular checkup. Maybe there's like maybe there was a cut in my nipple. Maybe there was like, some scarring in my breast. I don't know. So when I went to see the doctor, in my mind, it was just, okay, routine checkup. That's why I went alone. So you need to remember, like, I went alone. If not, then I would have taken like my sister with me or something. But
Yes.
I went alone because I thought, okay, this is going to be a routine checkup. So I was also very lucky that I got a very good breast surgeon that was extremely calm. Again, because I went alone. She explained to me everything in detail as well. So that helped tremendously that I was comfortable with my doctor. But yeah, up until the point where she told me this doesn't look good, I didn't think there was anything wrong with my breast that would actually, point to cancer. So when she scanned and she said that there were so many things wrong, I had trouble digesting the information. It took some time for me. I actually had to speak to my sister and sit down with her and actually tell her there's something wrong and I didn't expect this and I don't know how to react to it. Yeah.
I see. So, like before you go, you were very positive, like you don't have cancer, and then I know the feeling when you have breast cancer. Like, of course, it's a shocking news, but
Yeah.
then it's related to the next question that Sarah will ask. Actually, it's about
Yes.
the reaction of your family and
Okay.
friends.
Alrighty. So at the moment, the doctor said you have a breast cancer. How did you and your family react with that? And how your other friends? Did they know about your actual condition at that particular time?
So from the day that I went to see my breast specialist, on that particular day that she scanned me that first day, and she told me that there was something wrong. So I went to see her on a Thursday, and then I got my results on a Monday, the next week Monday. So there were about 5 days in between. And in between that time, I didn't know whether I had cancer or not, but I was preparing myself for the worst. And so I spoke to my sister and I asked her, should I tell my mom or should I wait until the results come out? And my sister said, you know, mom, she will want to know now. If you tell her later, she will marah. So I was just like, yeah, okay, I don't want to deal with mom's like wrath, you know. So every weekend, my family actually gathers at my mom's house, which I'm currently in now. So I texted my family WhatsApp group. I have 3 sisters and a brother. And I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of the whole family. And my brother is not here. He's actually living in London. So I had to update him later on. So I told my siblings, I said, we need to have a family meeting. And because I'm the youngest in the family, I don't call for family meetings. So my sisters were like, what's wrong? What's happening? Why is Hiba calling for a family meeting? And I said, okay, I need to update you on this. And of course I was worried. I was extremely worried because I was just thinking, worst case scenario, I have cancer. So for 4 days, it was just like mulling in my head, like, what if I have cancer? What do I do? And I remember crying, I think the day after my checkup, after everything had settled, I just cried and I was just like, I prayed. I prayed and I just said, you know, Ya Allah, I really hope that I don't have cancer. But if I do, please give me the strength to go through it. And please give me the support to go through it. And so when I told my family, it was at night, I remember after dinner, when I told my family, I said, okay, this is what happened. I did a biopsy. It might be cancer. And the first thing my mom did was marah, of course. She was like, why didn't tell me? Why didn't tell me? I could have gone with you. And that's my mom. When she worries, she'll get upset. And I know her. I understand her. That's just her way of showing she loves me. So I explained to them. I said, I honestly didn't know that I would be put in this situation. I thought that I was going for a routine checkup. Again, that's why I went alone. So my mom insisted to come with me on Monday with my eldest sister. And when they did come with me, that's when the doctor told me that I had cancer. And I only told a few people at that time, because I have like my close group of friends, like I think like maybe 5 or 6 of them. I can count on my hands like how many that I told at that point in time. And they were extremely supportive. They just said, you know what, Hiba, no matter what happens, we are here for you. Just update us, you know. And 2 of my friends were actually studying overseas at the time, so they were not here. So I just had to like text them. And thank God for WhatsApp, right? So when I got the results, I also told them. And at the time, I was still dating my ex-husband. So I also told him, and I kept him updated as well. So these were the handful of people that I told. But again, I chose to tell only a small group, just in case it doesn't turn out to be cancer. And I'm very lucky that all of them were extremely supportive, very, very supportive. And they just said, okay, you know, take as much time as you need. We are here if you need us. And I did tell, I think there were some other close friends that I told, but their reaction was to tell me that they would be there for me and ended up not showing up. So this experience also helped me to see who really cares for me.
Who's going to stay until the end.
Exactly. Who really, really cares and who has my best interest at heart and who really does not care. So, and it's fine because at that point in time, I'm not thinking about other people. I'm thinking about myself, my well-being, and I'm literally trying to survive. I'm fighting for my life from that day. Yeah.
So I'm
It's
pretty
good.
yes.
It's good
So
to
I'm
have
pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure. So it's really important of having supportive friends, family is actually around us, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
okay, being in a supportive environment and then you have to undergo the treatment plans that the doctor have scheduled for you. And I saw in your post that you have gone through 6 surgeries and
Yeah.
several chemotherapies. So actually,
Yes.
how many chemotherapy cycle that you have to undergo, and like, is there any radiation therapy, because it's different, right, from chemotherapy?
Mhm.
So can you tell us the treatment plan that you have undergone?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, people always have this misconception that chemotherapy is where you go into the big machine. And they're always like, "Do you have to go through a machine when you go through chemo?" And I said, "No." Okay, so chemotherapy is, if any of you have ever gotten admitted to the hospital, if any of you have ever masuk hospital, or have seen somebody masuk hospital, you know the IV drip that you're on that goes through the line dekat sini? So that's chemo. That's chemo medication for you. It will go through an IV drip. Radiation therapy is where you go into a radiation machine. So my initial plan with the doctor was, when I was HER2 negative, the initial plan was 6 cycles of chemo, surgery, 15 rounds of radiation therapy, and finish. After that, I was just supposed to be on, hormone management tablets, which I will explain later. But because my results changed, the HER2 became positive, I had to extend my treatment to what we call targeted therapy. So that was another 17 cycles, which was why my treatment lasted about a year and a half to 2 years. Yeah.
I
So
see.
how chemotherapy works, how the doctors calculate the cycle is, day one of your cycle is the day of infusion, which is when the medication goes into your body. So that's day one. And then your recovery period is a whole cycle. And until so it's day one until maybe the last day of your recovery. And then the next infusion is the next cycle.
I see.
Am
I
I
see.
making sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So one cycle is day one, and then your recovery period, and then your second cycle will be day one again, and then your second recovery period. So my recovery period was 2.5 to 3.5 weeks. So my doctor initially started with 2.5 weeks. So every 2.5 weeks I would go for chemo, but what chemo does is it kills the good and the bad cells, and it kills rapid growing cells. So any cells that are growing fast, because that's how my cancer was growing. It's growing fast. And because chemo cannot differentiate between the good cells or the cancer cells, it would just attack all the cells. So that's why your hair falls out, because your hair is rapid growing. That's why your fingernails don't really grow.
Is Madam Hiba frozen or like?
I think
Back to me, which is
Okay.
and then I did radiation therapy. So radiation, when I say 15 rounds, it's not the same as chemo. One round is one day. So 15 rounds is 15 days. So it's 5 days and then the weekend, 5 days, the weekend, 5 days, and the weekend. So that's how radiation worked for me. So I had to have radiation therapy from this part of my neck all the way up to my left breast. So they had to target also under my armpits. And it's basically like getting sunburned. So after a
Oh,
while, the skin starts to become very red and very raw. That's how it was for me. Yeah, it's basically to just kill whatever other cancer cells that are there. Targeted therapy is also like chemo, where it's an infusion. It's just the way it works is different. It specifically targets the protein in the cancer cells. So it doesn't it doesn't kill the rapid growing cells. It targets the protein specifically. So the side effects for that was not as bad as when I was going through chemo. And then after that, I had to be on the tablets that I was talking about earlier. So the tablets that I was on, it's called tamoxifen, and it's just a pill that I need to take every day. The plan was for me to take the pill every day for 5 years. So some breast cancer patients have to take it for 10 years, some 8 years, some 5 years, depending on the doctor, depending on your diagnosis. So the plan for me was for 5 years, and then we'll review. Unfortunately, what happened was that particular tablet, so what it does is it actually blocks the estrogen receptors. Now, I had to be on it because my cancer feeds, again, on estrogen and on progesterone. So it had to block the estrogen receptors so that my cancer, has nothing to feed on or has less to feed on, and it doesn't grow. So unfortunately for me, I had a very rare side effect to it. And I was the only patient of my doctors that had this side effect. It gave me ovarian cysts. So I had ovarian cysts growing on my right ovary and on my left ovary, which is why I had 6 surgeries in total. So I had a chemo port put in. So it's a little device, and it has a little tail. It's quite long. It has a tube attached to it. So what the doctor does is this device is placed just over the collarbone underneath the skin. And what a chemo port is it's used for chemotherapy medication. So instead of putting it through here, she will put it through a port. It's just a small device. So if you Google chemo port, you can actually see like how it looks like. And there's different types of ports, again, for different types of people. So mine was just one. And it helped me tremendously during my treatment because the nurse didn't have to go and cari vein. And what you need to understand is that chemo medication is very strong. It actually burns the veins. So when you cannot use the veins anymore, it's what we call collapse. So when the vein collapses, you cannot use that vein anymore. You have to go and find another vein. If that vein collapses in this arm, you need to find maybe in your kaki, maybe in your 𝘠𝘠. And that's more painful. And once you go through a lot of chemotherapy cycles and you don't have a port, or you cannot have a port inserted, you don't have any more veins, then it's more difficult to go through treatment. It's quite painful as well. I saw some of my friends go through it. So chemo port, to insert and to take out a chemo port, that's already 2 surgeries. And then I had mastectomy done, which is a major surgery. So that's 3. And then I had another 3 surgeries done for ovarian cysts, which is another 3. So I had to do surgeries for the ovarian cysts because my gynae said he was scared that the cancer had traveled to my ovaries. So he wanted to take out the cyst intact so that if it is cancer, it's not like everywhere in my body. It didn't burst or anything. So I had to do an open surgery 3 times. And it was 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 8 centimeters. The 8 centimeter one actually ruptured. So there was actually fluids everywhere. And that 8 centimeter surgery that I had, on my fallopian tubes, there were also ovarian cysts growing. So my doctors were actually trying to figure out what is causing this, because it's not normal for a patient to constantly have ovarian cysts, especially when I'm not supposed to be having any estrogen or progesterone in my body. So then I switched to another medication called Leucrin, which is an injection. So this injection is taken once a month. I was on it for about 1 year. And unfortunately, it's usually given to advanced prostate or breast cancer patients. So it's a very strong medication. And when I was on Leucrin, it was like I was on chemo. The side effects were really, really bad. So that was my whole treatment plan. So I had chemo, I had surgery, I had radiation therapy, I had targeted therapy, I had 2 different types of hormone therapy. So that's why it lasted 5 years. Yes.
I see. That was quite a lot. I mean, a long journey actually, because you have different treatment. But then I should say that our medicine technology actually have developed, because if this patient cannot go with this, and then the doctor resort to other alternatives. So it's good because at the end, the patient can be treated.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I find that I haven't had to do it yet, but because all of my treatments work for me. But I find that a lot of my other friends, if there is a treatment that doesn't work for them, the doctor would actually tell them, okay, there is maybe a treatment that is done in the US. Maybe there is a medication there that we can bring in here. So it is always something worth discussing with your doctor. But again, treatments the more rare it is, the more expensive it is.
I see.
So I was very lucky, alhamdulillah, that I have insurance. My insurance covered everything. So for those of you who don't have insurance, please go and get insurance. It will save your
Yeah.
life, because
Right.
it's not so much about, you know, or getting treatment in a private hospital. You know, it's more of when you are going through something like this in your life, when it's a life or death situation, literally, the last thing you want to think about is money. That's the last thing you want to
Yes.
think about. So
Your
it's
health is important above anything
exactly,
else.
Yes.
exactly. So, you know, at least you have that peace of mind that, okay, you know, I have insurance. Money is, you know, less of a problem. Not a problem. It's less of a problem. So at least I have options. There are more options open for me. You want to go government, you want to go private, you want to, you know, try a different, I don't know. That's entirely up to you. But at least you have that peace of mind that, okay, you know, one part is already settled. And I was very lucky that my mom got me insurance when I was younger. So that actually saved us a lot of headache.
All right, so Madam Ms. Hiba, so I would like to ask about your opinion, apart from the Pink Ribbon campaign
Uh-huh.
that is associated with breast cancer. So, what should be done in order to raise awareness and prevention of breast cancer among women, especially?
I think a lot of women already know what cancer is in general, not just breast cancer, but cancer in general. People always, you watch it in movies, you know, you maybe like hear your friends talk about it, you hear maybe your grandparents have it or parents have it or your aunties have it. So I find that people already know what cancer is, but they don't know what to do in terms of checkup. So when it comes to breast checkup, okay, this is like the this is the best way to be aware about breast cancer, is to be aware about your own body. So it is very sad when doctors, you know, when I have discussions with doctors about who discovers the breast in the lumps, and the doctors tell me it's usually the partners that find it. So the husbands or the boyfriends or the girlfriends, and I again I say girlfriends as well because men also get breast cancer. Okay, so you could like the partners are usually the ones that discover it. So for me, I discovered it because I'm very aware of my body. I have no shame at looking at myself in the mirror and just getting to know my body, how it looks, how it feels. The, you know, different, you know, because again, it is your body and you should know your body best. And to have somebody else find it, macam pelik juga. I'm thinking like, really? Like somebody else finds it? But we are not taught to really know our body. So it is like for breast cancer awareness, first thing, you need to be very, very aware of your body. Do not be ashamed to be aware of your body. Again, like, you know, nobody's gonna follow you into the shower and like, you know, when you do your breast checkup, okay? So please be aware about your body. Be aware about the hair on your head. Be aware about your eyes, your nose, your lips, your breasts, you know, your stomach, your thighs, all of that, all of those little things. Be aware of it, so that if there's any little changes, you know that, oh, this is not normal. This wasn't here before. Because if you're not aware, how do you know if there are any changes? So if there are, for example, any abnormalities in your breast, if there's changes in size, if there's discharge, if there's lump in your breast, if your breast suddenly doesn't look like it normally does. Again, your breast left and right memang don't look the same, and every
Yeah.
breast is different. So again, only you would know how it will look like.
Only you
So
know your
Yeah,
best.
exactly. So when
Actually,
there
you need to love yourself because you are the one who aware of your physical.
yes.
exactly
So
that, yeah,
that's
that's
actually
that.
relate to the last question, which is
Mm-hmm,
your last advice to
mm-hmm.
those who are suffering from breast cancer, or actually for those, perhaps you can give advice to people who want to encourage their loved one who is suffering from breast cancer. So, what is your last advice?
So if you know someone who is going through cancer, be as supportive as you possibly can. Respect their decisions. I was very lucky because my family is the type, they don't force me to make a decision. So even when the most decision that I had, the most difficult decision that I had to make was whether to do reconstructive surgery on my breast or not. So I don't have a left breast. If any of you are wondering, if any of you that are watching are wondering, I don't have a left breast. I decided to get it removed. Nobody forced me to do it. I came up with the decision on my own. What my family and my friends did was they compile all of the information. They like summarize everything and they give to me, and they said, okay, we've already summarized everything into point form. There was like some Excel sheet or something, I don't even remember, but they gave it to me and they said, you decide, it is your body. Again, it's your body, you make the decision. And to this day, I don't have any regrets, and it doesn't make me any less of a woman. Okay, so I'm very proud of the big scar that I have on my left side. And if somebody is going through cancer, you can offer maybe to cook something for them or bring them food. Check first whether they have any dietary restrictions. Some cancer patients do. So for me, I couldn't have any raw food, and food had to be prepared fresh. So I cannot have breakfast food for lunch. I can have lunch food for dinner. So I have to check with each individual patient. If the patient has kids, maybe like if you are close enough, offer to watch their kids for a while. Or if you maybe have, a bit of money saved up, you can maybe surprise them with a staycation dekat hotel dengan, their partner ke their sister ke. That's what my family did for me. I would stay in a hotel for just 1 or 2 days just to take my mind off things. And it helped with my recovery. If they live alone, maybe you can offer to do their laundry. Maybe you can, offer to, help them when they're going through chemo, drive them to their appointments. But again, these are things that you need to check first with the patients. Please don't go and recommend them to go and take whatever grass or whatever fruits or whatever, chances are there are another 100 people telling them that. And if they want to know, they will ask. I find that when it comes to patients, when people are bombarding them with so much information, they cannot take it all in. And then they start to cut people out of their lives because they're like, oh no, this person recommended me this, I don't want. You might have, their best interest at heart. So what you can do is just tell them, hey, I have some information that I heard from another friend maybe who's going through cancer, or I know of a cancer survivor. If you would like this information, or if you would like me to connect you to this survivor, let me know. Don't go to them and say, you have to do this, you have to do that. No, because the patient needs to feel like my opinions are respected. So that's the best kind of support that you can give. And if all else fails, like if the patient says like, oh, I don't need any help or anything, you can always just text them once in a while, check up on them and say, hey, I was just thinking of you. If you need anything, I am here. Hey, do you need any help today? I'm in the area. For example, if you're driving, near the house, hi, I'm in the area. Do you need help with anything? Don't be afraid to ask. So I find that is extremely helpful in this kind of situations. Yeah.
So yeah, being with the supportive environment and a little act of concern really help the patient in the process of recovery. And
Yeah,
since
exactly.
the time is up, unfortunately we have to end this show. But then I really want to thank Miss Hiba for the fruitful sharing. It was a very lots of info that we get from this sharing. So if you are wondering or want to follow Miss Hiba's journey, you can follow her at her Instagram, Baba the Awesome. And also if you want to and also you need to follow us as well at IUM TV's Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So till then, see you next week with a new topic that is more interesting. Good night. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum.
everyone.
Have a very good night, everyone. If you have any questions, just reach out to me on Instagram. I am more than open to answer any questions that you ladies have.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hiba.
Thank you, Miss Hiba, for tonight sharing.
actually like quite not disappointed. I mean, like, because I wanted